And I like nearly lost. I'm like, just give me a second. Ran up to my office, came back down to the field, called them all in. I said, guys, come here, take a knee. I said, before I get any stupid emails from parents, don't ever give blood again on a practice day, on a game day, whatever. Don't ever. I said, I will give blood with you year-round, any Saturday or Sunday, year-round, but don't ever. And Mark, my defensive coordinator, said, Coach, sorry about that. They do that every year. I'm like, no, first of all, don't apologize. It's not your fault. But there wasn't a why. Kids just, if they were studs, they played. So when I almost said his name, I won't say it, obviously. When I benched him, he was shocked. And we go into that game, and we got beat up. We got beat up bad. We should have been beat up. We didn't want to be there. And I remember seeing a look on 99% of the faces of the people on the sideline with me, coaches and players. First quarter of, let's get this over with. And in my mind, I was screaming. I'm like, this isn't what I would. This isn't. And I didn't play professional football. I played Division III college football. I'm not living through trying to live out my dreams. I was a good high school football player, a decent college football player. Okay, but I've always been a passionate football player. Have never been the biggest. Have never been the fastest. Always the best looking. But I was never. Thank you for getting the sarcasm. But so I was in a situation now where for the past 2 months, I'm like, God, thank you so much for this job. And then I'm staring on the sidelines going, what did I get myself into? What is this? But it brought me back to my why. And my why really is not just to win championships, but to empower people. It was really, in my opinion, God saying, hey, here's a clean slate. Really, what are you made of? So I went to the coaches meeting the following morning, met with the coaches, and I told them what I was going to do, and they kind of looked at me like, wow, sorry, whatever, coach. Kids came in about an hour and a half later. They were all in the film room. And I walked in, and with a straight face, because I knew where I was going with this, I said, guys, I'm done. I said, after last night's performance, I already emailed the administration, but I'm going back. I'm done. I'm not coaching here anymore. And we only had 50 kids our first year. But they're all sitting there like, what? You're quitting on us? And I walked out. About 10 seconds later, I walked back in. I said, another thing. I said, imagine I just gave up that easy. And then I get on my soapbox. I got on my soapbox a little bit. I said, that's what's wrong with America and why so many marriages fail. I said, some of you guys are going to marry the most beautiful girl because she's the most beautiful girl, period. Then God forbid she's going to get into an accident, get cancer, lose her hair or whatever, or money's going to be tight and maybe she's going to marry you because you have money and you lose it. And then the why's not there. And I told him, I said, guys, and I hadn't shared this with him yet. And I started to get like really heated, really emotional. So the only reason I left Bedford, New Hampshire, even though I hate the snow, was because of my why. For me, without getting preachy, it's faith, family, football. Faith, family, football. Faith, family, football. You can be in freaking Anchorage, Alaska. Are we in Murray? Is this Murray, Coach? Yeah. Murray, Utah, San Diego, New Hampshire. If your why is strong enough, the what, the where, the when, the how shouldn't affect it. So we have our Islanders on the side of the helmet, but in the back of the helmet here, the very next day I called my Rydell guy, I said, we need the Y sticker. So it's still, we're not there yet, but with my coaches, with my players, it's so important for me to share my why, and as I've matured a lot, I still have a long way to go, I realize that's great, it sounds real nice, share my why, but if I really want to empower our lives, I need to help my players find their why, and then build upon that. I spoke at I didn't speak, I'm lying. I ate at a dinner one time. It was for student athletes, and I had two of my players that were being recognized, and one of my tackles got up, and as they accepted the award for being a student athlete, one of the questions they were asked is, why do you play football? And Dave was just kind of a big dumb kid. And, well, he wasn't dumb, he was very smart in the classroom, but I don't know how he did it. But he's like, I just like to hit people. His why was he just liked to hurt people. He wasn't dirty, he just liked to hurt people. And that's football. Football's violent. The next young man from another school, this tiny little running back came up, and the kid was ridiculously good. He's like, I just like to make people look stupid. He just liked to make people miss. Their whys were completely different. But we have to help our players find their whys. Now, what's it look like when someone has a strong why? What's it look like? Do they have a lot of championship rings? Do they have, if I have 100 players in my program, does that mean I have a stronger why than the guy down the street that has 50 in theirs? What's it look like? I don't know if there's a clear answer to this, but my belief is, it depends. If our goal is truly to build relationships and to empower people, the seasons of success aren't going to change who I look like as a coach. I yell and scream all the time. It's just I get excited. In the weight room, in the locker room, on the field. It's not derogatory. It's not putting someone down. It's not swearing for me. But I yell and scream all the time. If every coach on my staff did that, we wouldn't have a team. It's just, you have to be true to yourself. I have a lot of coaches that barely whisper, and I got to kind of have them pick that up a little bit. Okay? But my first year at Coronado, we were 2-8. Yay. But it was a very successful year. Why? We had 11 players at the end of the year ineligible because they were not academically eligible. I'll get to why that was a success. The following year, so the next year, we only had one young man that was ineligible because of academic ineligibility. And we do weekly grade checks. So for me, that's a huge success. I spent 4 hours on a Saturday at a young man's house because he was being a punk to his mother, single mom, and just kind of pouring into their lives. That's a huge success. He's in college now, not because of me, but because his mother didn't give up on him. And I had a small hand in that. And then we went from 2-8 to 7-3 this past season. So the world sees success there. And yeah, it does feel good to win. But the why doesn't change. If our why is to just chase rings, how many people in here have won a state championship? We'll start with state. That's great. There are about 7 or 9 hands up here. It's hard to do. I've won as a coach, as an assistant, 2 state championships when I was at that first school. But I walked into a really good situation, so I'm not taking credit for that. I was walking into that. As a head coach, I haven't won any state championships. And tomorrow's talking about building a winning culture, so I might be talking to myself. Okay? But the culture is not just about championships and what the world sees. So I've been blessed to win with my teams conference championships and division championships, but I haven't won a single state championship. If my why is just to win rings, I'm going to look and I'm going to sound like a completely different coach from year to year. When I have a stud quarterback move in, I'm going to sound really good. When that kid leaves, because his dad, our Coronado has a military base also, so a lot of Navy families, which is a tremendous blessing. But if my why is just to win championships, man, I'm going to look and sound and feel like a completely different coach every year. What's our job as coaches? Now, win games. Let's be real for a second. If you don't win, you're not going to stay in this profession for a long time. Sooner or later, administration, parents, boosters are going to say, hey, so Hines is a real nice guy, really nice, but we're not winning. We got to get someone here to win. So sooner or later, you got to win. You want to keep your job, you got to win a certain amount. So we got to win. We want to help young men go to college if that's what they want to do, if that's the path they want to take. Whether it's military, college, we want to make sure they're doing what they need to do in those 4 years or how many years they're with us. But ultimately, my why is I want to look back when I'm on my deathbed, whether it's next year or 50 years from now, and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I've changed lives for the better. And I don't want to get preachy in the sense that we don't know this, but if there's only one thing you take away from this, is please understand the platform we have. And I'll get into that a little bit more. I'm wrapping up here in about 10 minutes anyway. No, about 5 minutes, I think. This is really it here. I was blessed to speak at a coaching clinic just a while back in Mississippi. Part of that was talking about strength and conditioning. Part of it was talking about the power of why. But when I was in the weight room, we're talking about technique. We're talking about the power clean, the hang clean, the triple extension, the front, all these things that I love and are so important. But the last thing I share with them, and the last thing I want to share with you is if the only thing we do as coaches is help create better football players, please understand we are failing miserably at our jobs. I believe that with every fiber of my being. I don't care how many damn rings you have that say state, division, league championships. And we can't, it's not going to be our wife because our wives love us. They have a biased opinion of us. But if we can't look ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what, I know for a fact that kid got his life on track because of the conversations we had. I know for a fact that he's going to be a great father someday because of the choices he made. We're failing them miserably. So for me, my why is interchangeable. I love San Diego. Man, I don't ever want to move out of there. I teach 4th grade, so my wife reminds me financially all the time, we're not staying there long. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know. Okay? But as I look back on the 17 years I coached in New Hampshire, I was blessed there too. I love football there. Football is football is football is football. I don't care where you go. We have the exact same platform. We have a captive audience. I had one young man this year that came up to me, senior, goes, I always tell him, boy, young men, I say, guys, football is not for everyone. When you decide to quit, how many of you have ever had a player quit? Come on, every hand's going to be up, right? Oh, yeah. I said, do me a favor, do it with character. Come in with all your gear so I don't chase you down. Look me in the eye, shake my hand, and say, Coach, it's just not for me. Don't lie to yourself and say, oh, I want to focus on grades. Because no one goes home at 3 o'clock and does homework till 9. No one. I don't care if you're in an AP class or not. So don't lie to me. So a young man came to me second day after contact, because that's when it starts to hurt. Goes, Coach, I just can't. And I said, Joe, and I'll say this. I said, Joe, I love you. I do love the kid. I said, I love you. Thank you so much. He said, why? Why not? And he goes, all my buddies, he only played 2 years, the year before his junior year and this year. Because all my buddies graduated. And I get that. He ended up helping us a lot. So I'm kind of getting to the end of the story. He stayed on. But it was his father that kind of made him stay on. So I shook him in the hand, gave him a hug, said, I love you. If you ever need anything, let me know. Thank you for having character and telling me it's just your heart's not in it. The next day he came to practice. Coach, can I talk to you? Like, yeah, what's up? Can I play? I'm like, and I remember, I'm like, you want to play? He goes, no. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, my dad said I've got to do CrossFit or football. So he chose the lesser of two evils, I guess. Our practices are not as tough. So we do a thing at the end of the year, and I think most schools have something for the seniors at the end of the year. And I've done pre-banquets, so it's just you and your players, that you have a burning the torch or passing the torch or some bonfire or whatever you do. So we have players throw something in, we have a little beach bonfire, and they throw something in and talk about, hey, this is the jock strap I've worn for 4 years or whatever. So there's a lot of infections on our team, not 4 years. But he threw in a towel that he'd been using for 2 years. He gave one of the best speeches I've heard in 20 years coaching. Just talking about how he didn't want to play, was forced to play, lesser of two evils, but went on to say that he will be forever changed. I can't take credit for that. I had a small piece in that. But that's a young man I'll never forget. He says he'll be forever changed. He ended up starting for us. Didn't knock it out of the park, but helped us a lot. And it was just phenomenal. The last thing I'll say for this right now, and I'm going to repeat myself, is please realize we have a captive audience. The reason I brought up Joe was some parents say, you got to play football. You got to do something. But I truly believe that 95% of the young men we coach are there because they want to be. And I used to believe that, man, those inner-city school kids, they're fighting for something. They're trying to get out of something. No one's trying to get out of Coronado. It's not a bad place, okay? But as I coach longer now, I realize they might have more cars, and I'm not saying they, wherever. We have communities here, or you have communities here in Utah. Certain families might have more cars than they have drivers. They might have the white picket fence, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know what's going on underneath the shoulder pads where it matters the most. So if we pour into our young men, if we take the time to truly get to know them as people, not pawns, and if we coach the person, not just the player, we're going to change lives. So I'm honored to be here. I appreciate you guys. You were kind of forced being here. You didn't get to choose this because I was the first one speaking. But that's all I got. So thank you guys for what you do.
All right, Kurt Hines, follow him on Twitter. Got some really good stuff. we're gonna take about a 10, 15-minute break, and then we'll come back in, hear from one of our vendors. Before we go, I feel a little bad, because I am a space cadet sometimes, but our main sponsor of this clinic and the person that made it possible for us to do this, Mark